Soft city sounds fade in, the hum of late-night traffic, footsteps echoing down a Beverly Hills street. A red heel steps into view, pausing under the glow of a streetlight. The screen glows warm gold. 35 years ago, a woman in a red dress changed the way the world saw love. She walked into a life that didn't belong to her, and somehow made it feel like home. A love story born in the heart of Beverly Hills is about to return, older, wiser, and more beautiful than ever. This is the next chapter of a romance that never truly ended. Pretty Woman is back. The music swells, a soft, slow instrumental of "Oh." Pretty Woman fills the air as the screen fades to black. Asterisk in 1990. A simple romantic film transformed into a story that defined an entire generation. Pretty Woman wasn't just a movie. It was a dream come alive. It told the story of two people from different worlds, colliding by chance and discovering something far greater than either expected. A businessman trapped in his own world of deals and deadlines. A woman, full of hope, chasing a life beyond the streets. Together they found something real, something pure, in a world that often forgets what love looks like. Back then, Vivian was a woman with nothing but courage and a smile that could light up a city. Edward was a man who had everything except joy. When they met, everything changed. Their chemistry was magic, natural, tender, and unforgettable. The limousine rides, the laughter, the shopping spree down Rodeo Drive all became scenes that fans still replay in their hearts. Even decades later, the sound of distant laughter echoes over a slow montage, a gloved hand holding a jewelry box. The snap of it closing with surprise and delight. The memory of her laughter lingers like perfume in the air. Pretty Woman wasn't about perfection. It was about two people who didn't belong together by the world's standards, but somehow did. It reminded everyone that love can start in the most unexpected places, and that no one is too broken to be loved for years. The movie stayed alive through memories, posters, quotes, and the endless replay of that iconic ending, Edward climbing the fire escape, roses in hand to claim his fairy tale ending. But what happens after the fairy tale ends? What comes after the last kiss, after the music fades and the credits roll? That's where the next story begins. Time has moved forward, but the emotions remain. Beverly Hills looks different now. Brighter, faster, louder, but love still lingers in its corners. The laughter of strangers, the flash of a red dress in a shop window, the echo of a familiar melody drifting from a cafe. It's as if the city itself remembers them, the man and woman who made it believe in happy endings. Now, 35 years, their story is reborn. In Pretty Woman 2, we find Vivian again. No longer the woman who once dreamed of escape. She's built her own world, one where she helps others rise the way she once did. She's strong, independent, but somewhere inside her, that spark remains. The spark that began with one look, one smile, one moment. Edward has changed too. The powerful man once driven by success is now learning what it means to live for something deeper. Retirement hasn't given him peace. It has only given him time to think. About choices. About chances. About her, their worlds are about to cross again, not by accident, but by fate. Maybe at a charity gala, maybe through a letter that never got delivered. However it happens, it's not just about romance, it's about rediscovery. About how time tests love, reshapes it, but never destroys it. Pretty Woman 2 is not just a sequel, it's a continuation of belief. It's about remembering that real love doesn't fade with age. It deepens. It's about coming home, even after years apart. It's about how sometimes prettiest stories are the ones that grow old gracefully as the music softens. The camera pans up to the city skyline, the same city where it all began. Lights shimmer like memories. Somewhere in that glow, two souls are still searching for each other, because some love stories are simply meant to find their way back. Asterisk, the city wakes before the sun. A coffee cup steams beside a newspaper headline that reads, 35 years later, where are they now? A gentle breeze brushes across an old photograph, a younger woman in a red dress, smiling under the city lights. The picture trembles, as if the years themselves are breathing through it. Time doesn't erase love, It hides it in quiet corners between old letters, faded movie posters, and memories that refuse to let go. For decades, people have wondered what became of Vivian and Edward. Did their story really end when the credits rolled, or was that just the beginning? The world has moved on. Phones replaced phone booths. Laughter moved online. The streets of Beverly Hills, once calm and golden, now shimmer with neon and noise. But every now and then, a passerby catches a reflection in a shop window, a flash of red fabric, a familiar silhouette, and for a split second, the past feels alive again. Vivian Ward is no longer the dreamer who once looked up at tall buildings and wished for more. She built something real, a foundation that helps women like her once was. The streets that once looked down on her are now where she walks with purpose. She doesn't chase dreams anymore. She creates them for others. Her laughter is softer now, wiser. The world still remembers her as the girl with the smile that could melt glass. But she's become something more, the woman who learned that happy endings can grow roots. Edward Lewis, on the other hand, has spent his years behind walls of glass and silence. The same man who once bought and sold empires now stares out over the city from a quiet penthouse. His eyes follow the light, the way it dances off the skyline, the same view he once shared with her. He's older now, but his heart still remembers. The way she changed him, the way she saw him, not for what he had, but for who he could be. The music shifts, gentle piano, soft and reflective. On his desk lies an unopened invitation, the Vivian Ward Foundation, 20 Years of Hope Gala. His name is printed in silver. He hesitates, fingers tracing the envelope. A name he hasn't said aloud in years stirs something inside him. Meanwhile, across town, Vivian walks through a crowded ballroom, helping set the stage for the same event. Her red dress is gone, replaced by elegance, but there's still a spark in her eyes. The kind that once stopped a man in his tracks. She's happy, fulfilled. Yet somewhere deep down, there's a silence she's never been able to fill. A memory she never managed to forget. As the night draws closer, the universe begins to shift. In the city that once brought them together, small coincidences start to appear. A radio station plays. It must have been love. A hotel clerk mentions a familiar name. An old limousine passes by. Each moment feels like a whisper from the past, pulling two hearts toward each other again. Sometimes love doesn't shout. It waits. It lingers in the background, patient as the sunset, waiting for the right song, the right glance, the right moment. And in Pretty Woman too, that moment is coming. The screen glows softly with old movie stills, their first dance, their laughter, their goodbye. Then the image fades to black. Asterisk, the night sky over Los Angeles is alive again. The same city that once watched two strangers fall in love now watches as their paths quietly draw closer. Streetlights shimmer against glass towers. Every window hides 1,000 untold stories. But tonight, one story is ready to begin again. A black car glides through the streets of Beverly Hills. Not a limousine this time. Something simple, quiet, and unmarked. Inside, a man sits alone, older, thoughtful, holding that same silver invitation. Edward Lewis. Once the man who measured life in contracts and meetings, now measuring it in memories. His reflection in the window shows more than age. It shows a man who's lived long enough to realize that love is the only deal worth keeping. Across town, Vivian adjusts a microphone at the gala stage. Her voice echoes softly in the empty room. The hall glows with golden lights. Photographs of smiling women line the walls. Women she's helped, mentored, believed in. The foundation she built carries her name. But it's not about fame. It's about freedom. She glances at a photo on the table, her younger self, laughing in that famous red dress, and smiles to herself. "We made it," she whispers. The doors open. Cameras flash. Guests fill the hall with laughter and light. Music swells, elegant, graceful, alive. And somewhere between the crowd and the champagne, a single moment unfolds. A shadow in the doorway. Edward steps in. Time seems to slow. The years between them vanish, like they were never there. Vivian turns, drawn by something she can't explain. Their eyes meet across the room, older, wiser, still filled with the same spark that once started it all. No words, just a heartbeat, a silence, a history in a glance. For a moment, the world forgets to move. He smiles, that same half-smile that once melted her walls. She exhales, the weight of decades falling away in an instant. The people around them fade into blur. The music fades to a hush. It's as if the universe itself remembers this dance. Then a voice from the stage interrupts. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of 20 years of hope." The crowd applauds. Vivian looks away, breaking the spell. Edward stays still, watching her move through the crowd, surrounded by the life she built. He realizes something profound. She doesn't need saving anymore. She never did. But maybe they can save each other this time. The night unfolds in glances and near encounters. They circle the same room, caught between past and present. A photographer asks for a picture. Their hands brush. The connection is still there, soft, electric, undeniable. Later, on the balcony, away from the crowd, the city glows beneath them. Vivian stands alone, taking in the view. Edward steps beside her, not saying a word, just standing there the way he did all those years ago. She doesn't turn. She doesn't have to. "You found your fairy tale," he says quietly. She smiles. "No," she replies. "Eyes still on the city. I built it." He laughs softly, not out of pride, but admiration. The kind of laughter that says everything words can't. And for the first time in years, the silence between them feels peaceful. Not painful. They talk about life, about time, about all the things they never said. The city hums below, unaware that history is quietly repeating itself, not as a copy, but as something new, something deeper. The music rises, slow piano. Then strings a melody that feels like memory reborn. The camera pans upward, capturing their silhouettes against the golden city. The night is almost over. The city quiets, the noise of the gala fades behind closed doors. Somewhere above the glowing skyline, two souls stand under a silver sky, not as the people they once were, but as who they've become. A soft wind moves through the balcony curtains. Vivian and Edward linger there, watching the city stretch endlessly beneath them. The years between them no longer feel like distance. They feel like proof that love can survive time itself. The music shifts, slow piano, warm and tender, the kind that carries both memory and promise. Vivian looks down at her hands. The same hands that once trembled when he reached for her. Now, they're steady, strong. She's built a life without him yet somehow. Every piece of that life still echoes the man who once believed in her when no one else did. Edward looks at her like someone seeing sunlight for the first time after a long winter. "You're still the same," he says quietly. She smiles, shaking her head. "No, I'm not. But I think the part of me that believed in you never really changed." For a moment, neither speaks. The air between them feels fragile, glowing with everything unsaid. And then, in that perfect silence, it happens, that same look, the one that started everything. The look that said, "I see you." The scene shifts. A montage begins, their lives reflected through time. Vivian mentoring young women, Edward walking through his empty office, their paths almost crossing again and again. Fate weaving them closer until this very night. Back at the gala, the final song begins to play, a modern, softer echo of "Oh, Pretty Woman." The melody fills the air like a memory that never left. Edward extends his hand. She hesitates, then laughs, the same laugh that once made the world fall in love with her. They dance slow, gentle, surrounded by people who don't know the history unfolding before them. The room fades, and all that's left is movement, two silhouettes spinning under soft light. The years melt away, replaced by something timeless. The voice in your mind calm, reflective whispers what the moment means. Love doesn't ask for permission to return. It just does. Quietly, without grand gestures, without fanfare, simply because it was never gone. The dance ends, but their story doesn't. Outside, the first light of dawn begins to bloom over the horizon. The sky turns pink, then gold. Just like that morning 35 years ago. Edward glances at her, the city glowing behind them. "So," he says softly, "what happens now?" Vivian looks out toward the sunrise. "Now," she smiles. "Now, we start living the parts we skipped."